I feel like we're at Wimbledon. I just watched Shia LaBeouf's new movie.
Did you?
Yeah, and he's like, I can't remember the name. It's like an '80s tennis star, and he's like, I feel like I should say really bitchy things, and you can be the nice one.
Totally. I'll be Bjorn.
Yeah, be Bjorn. Yeah. And don't ask me anything about my acting work. I'm not here to talk about my acting work.
We would only like to discuss tennis today. FYI, I'm totally that person who pretends like they suck, and then you get me on the court, and I'm like straight in your face.
Well, guys, kicking off with an easy one. Are you enjoying Comic Con? How's the experience for you guys?
Yeah, well, this is your first Comic Con, right?
This is my first Comic Con, period. So
it's overwhelming when it's your first one, I feel like. And still, like, I find it overwhelming.
Yeah, it's overwhelming and exciting and interesting. It's my first time in London as well.
Oh, I didn't know
So,
that.
yeah, I'm trying to soak in all of the sights and accents and references to all of the historical material that I read so much about, and on top of it, be at Comic Con, so it's super fun for me.
Yeah, I love them. We all have our shows that when we watch, we freak out, and I think it's, excuse me, easy to forget that, like, oh, I'm a part of a couple shows that people feel that way about, and it's very surreal when people get so excited. I'm like, oh yeah, right, yeah, that's a thing I do.
It's true.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I finished watching season 2 of The Crown on the flight over, so if anybody knows anyone from The Crown, please bring them over to my table.
Mm-hmm. What was your reaction to finding out that you were actually Nora, Simon's kid?
So I knew from the get-go, so they brought me in early and were like, we have this great concept for a new character on the show. It's a big secret. And I was like, oh yeah, I'll keep a secret, no problem. Sign the NDA. And then it was like I got to set and no one on set knew who I was either. So it was awful because I'm a horrible liar and everyone was like, come on, you can tell me, who are you? And I just wanted to wear sunglasses all the time and like not make eye contact with anyone. So I'm just extremely relieved that
Danielle and I knew.
Yeah, you guys knew. Yeah.
We're like the Council of Danielles.
There was a lot of people in the Council of Danielles who were like, we must know. But yeah, so I'm just really relieved it's not a secret anymore.
Yeah.
What's the chemistry like on set with the other cast members?
Hey, everyone's really good.
It's hard. I mean, we get along, but everyone else we just despise. It's fantastic, truly, and. I mean, obviously, I spend the vast majority of my time with Jessie L. Martin, which any woman could be assigned a much worse fate. But generally, I think because everyone outside of us, I came in at the very tail end of season 1 for a hot second, but everyone else started at the same time, and it's really rare that the core cast of a show all starts on the pilot together and stays on together, so it's very much like a family. And I know I felt that, you probably felt this way this season, that when you start on the show as an addition, you sort of have to get kind of like integrated. It's like dating somebody, and you're like, oh God, I hope your mom likes me.
Yeah, it's always scary when you come in. Like, I obviously didn't come in until 4th season, and I was like, oh, everyone has their dynamic. Like, will they be cliquey? Will they be fake nice? Like, what will happen? And the Los Angeles fake nice that we're very familiar with. No. And everyone was extremely welcoming and delightful and really cool.
I remember when you were coming, we were all very excited.
Awesome.
Jessica and Danielle Panabaker knew each other prior to. So Danielle gave us all the heads up that Jessica was lovely and super fun to be around and totally amazing. So we were all really looking forward to her
That's
arrival.
nice. I didn't know she said those things.
She did.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
That makes me feel good.
Yeah.
Congratulations on, first of all, the birth of your child in the series.
Thank you very much. I'm so happy to be out of the pregnancy valley. In case you were wondering, it was super heavy.
2 questions. Going into the next season, firstly, how would you transition from now being a mother, and secondly, you now being a speedster, especially a speedster of colour, how will you bring that sort of representation, to your viewers and everything?
Please go first.
Well, to the extent that I'm allowed to talk about anything, I think it's going to be interesting for my character to figure out, what, if anything, is going to be happening with her powers. Will they remain? Will they show up in her baby? How will that work out for Joe and Cecile in general, and how will, whether the baby has the powers or I have the powers or some version thereof, how will that incorporate itself into the family? And also, how does a baby factor into Team Flash? I mean, everybody's saving the world every week, and now we have an infant and an entirely grown adult child who are part of the team that we all have to figure out what we're doing and get you home.
I've coined my own, I don't know if I'm allowed to do this, but I like to call myself Baby Flash. I really hope it catches on.
I like it. You know what? I'm going to use it until it does.
Please do. Baby Flash. Baby Flash. I'm like, I really want to put it on Instagram, but I'm like, no, it's not cool if I write it first.
If I do it
Please
first.
say Baby Flash.
Yeah, and then you
can
just
that happen today?
and you
And
just
I'll be
repost it.
Yeah, Baby Flash.
You guys, you're all on the
Baby Flash, please, thank you.
Yeah, you're on the hook. We're coming after every one of you if you don't repost.
Exactly. That's a really scary and important question. This is a very long-winded answer that I will try to say quickly. So I grew up in Canada in an incredibly white family. The fact that I was part black was never brought up, which I ignorantly thought when I became an adult that was great because it was never even acknowledged. We never talked about it, and because color doesn't matter. And then I moved to America where I realized like, no, color matters and culture matters, and it's important to be like, yeah, I'm part black, and that's amazing. It's not like I was hiding from it or something. It just, no one ever talked about it. It was just never brought up. And so it's funny, when I moved to the States, there became that sense of like, oh, I represent to a degree women of color on screen because of the color of my skin, but it's been intimidating because I didn't grow up in the culture at all. So it's new for me, and I love being asked those questions because I'm like, whew, okay. I don't know what I'm gonna do to bring that, other than the fact that I'm just gonna be there, and little girls who are of color can watch, and like, you too, it's like, can watch and go, wow, superhero that looks like me, like the same as when Black Panther came out. I mean, it exploded, and so I feel incredibly honored to be a part of that community. Yeah.
They do bring a lot of people, women of color, which is very important.
Yeah, very, very, very.
I mean, I think our show collectively, this is not the case anymore, but there was a period of time where we had more people of color on Flash than were on entire networks. Like you take all of the cast members, and it's extremely unusual for a network show to have the majority of the series regulars, which is the case now, be people of color.
Which is such a bummer.
Yeah.
Like, why?
And on top of it, we get to be superheroes, which is like
freaking awesome.
incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who do you think's faster, Nora or Barry?
I'm going with Nora hands down,
Yeah.
mostly because she's sitting next to me.
I would fight you. if you
Also,
didn't say
second
that.
generation, she's
Right.
Barry with all of Iris's smarts. Like, she's got Irish genes in there.
Yeah,
She's obviously
it's a
wins.
powerful combo, guys.
Yeah.
We all know I'm
Yeah.
the most powerful, fast, and all of it.
Yeah.
I've got it.
And the Wally connection.
That's true. That's right. We should have considered Wally in that connection as well. It's the whole, but she's full West Allen. Like, this is what happens when West Allen becomes one. Yeah.
With your
Have you shot a new speedster, kind of like in terms of shooting as a speedster? Have you kind of
Just-
done much of that on the treadmill or anything like that?
Just the one, no, nothing like that. I had like we did all I don't remember what it's called when they scan your body. You do the whole, it's that whole thing, and it took hours, and you make like all these faces, and you do the whole thing. So that's all I've done. And then the one little moment when I had that speedster moment in the episode, but literally all I had to do was this.
Grant
So
told
it
me,
wasn't very
Grant told me
exciting.
that he showed you how to do your hands without looking stupid.
I weirdly don't remember that. Obviously, it wasn't very helpful because I have no recollection of Grant helping me. Yeah, you do this, you do this,
Yeah.
do this.
Try not to
It's weird. When I was in LA, they take pictures. It's super weird. Anyways, they take photos of like the bottom of your feet. I was gonna say I shouldn't say that because there's probably like cult foot people now that are trying to take bottom pictures of the bottom of my feet online. Yeah, it's like it's weirdly invasive. It's just, yes.
They took bottom of your feet.
Yes, please tell me that happened to you too, and that I'm not. Oh no!
It absolutely did not happen in any way, shape, or form.
It's very. I don't know what to
it's
say
just
now.
you.
I gotta call my agent.
with your powers over the last season, either how difficult was it, or how much fun did you have doing parodies of other characters?
Both. Both. It was difficult because as an actor, you learn lines. you know, the very first thing you learn as an actor is it's all about listening and responding and what's happening in front of you. And then when you play somebody who reads people's minds, you're responding to yourself all the time. So that part was really hard. And I hope I was successful at it. I worked really hard at making sure that when I was sort of doing an impression, if you will, of the other actors on the show, that it was certainly an homage and not, you know, in any way, you know, caricaturizing them. But that part was really, really fun. And I have a pretty strong background in terms of scripted comedy, so like anytime Flash lets me be funny, I'm always really happy about that.
So, no, my favourite was the pizza dude, hands down.
Thank you. It was my favorite as well. I had far too much fun that day.
Since being on The Flash, have any of you had an opportunity to sit down and read the comments or source material behind what makes the show what it is?
Oh my God! Don't look at me.
I have some.
Okay.
And what I've found, and my best advice to Jessica coming onto the show a little after me, is that the source material is really helpful for a framework, but in terms of detail, it's best not to do like deep dives into the muck, because I know the fans get very attached to what happens in the comics, but what happens in a comic book, it does not always translate to television.
Yeah.
And it doesn't also always translate into the evolution of a story.
Yeah.
And if we stayed stuck with it, like I wouldn't get to be Cecile, because Cecile would be a redheaded Irish woman who wore a big hat and who was only ever in court.
Yeah.
You know, so yes, I tend to, when new characters come on the show especially, do a little sort of like just background to see how in the big picture it relates, and then you try to just sort of throw it away and let the writers do their thing.
I was thinking I actually can't really answer that question because I realized that there's like another level to like who I am that's like a part of something else that I can't talk about. So that's kind of awesome.
Yes.
Yeah. So. So next question, please.
Hi. Would you like to do crossovers? Because I know there's a lot of crossovers with the whole Arrowverse, and I don't know if it's part of it, but I think Black Lightning is connected. Would you like to be like, because like Black Lightning is, I've only halfway through, it's really, really good.
Yeah.
So especially when you're talking about diversity and stuff like that, and the whole CW universe, even from Smallville to now, has always been quite diverse with the characters
Yeah.
and blending. And whereas traditionally white characters, they're just, sorry, let's just have different diversity and make the same essence of the character. So would you like to do crossovers with other shows?
Yeah,
I think crossovers are the coolest. The very first episode I did was a crossover, and I just
oh, that's right. You did Supergirl. We were
yeah,
in it.
it was awesome.
Yeah.
Everyone was there, and everyone was in a good mood, and it was total and utter and complete chaos and hair and makeup.
It was so chaos.
I literally remember because I was intimidated to be there in the first place, and then it was the most chaotic episode. I think there were like 50 cast shares that day or something absurd. It wasn't quite that many, but it was absurd like that.
It was like 49.
Yeah, it was nuts. And hair and makeup was so overwhelming. There were just pages of names and things highlighted in every different color to get them to try to stay organized. And I remember just getting as small as I possibly could. I was just like, stay out of the way, say your lines properly, and get out, you know? But yeah, I feel like it's so fun to do that. It's like, it makes it, you know.
It's fun. I was really excited to pop over to Supergirl for 5 seconds last season, and I don't think I'm spoiling anything to say that there are going to be more crossovers this next season, and yes, there is a very strong likelihood that there one or two people at this table will be crossing over, probably both. In terms of Black Lightning, just to say I love it, and I have a very public and undeniable crush on Jill Scott. So if any of the writers are listening right now, guys, I'm just saying it would be fun. But for me, it's a real. It's challenging when we're shooting, and it's challenging for crossovers to happen because not all the shows even shoot in the same city. But the idea that different shows on the same network pop over to one another, you know, sort of traditional TV lame word of synergy, I feel like the only time synergy has legit worked is on the CW in the DC universe. And I think it's cool for fans, and I think it's cool for us to do it. And I love that the network makes it happen, because it's no small feat.
Well,
So yeah.
okay. All right.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you,
Thank
Thank you so
you
much.
guys. Bye.